Hello YouTube. Welcome back to the Every Closet. My name is Stephanie, and along with my partner Ethan, we are two full-time resellers of used clothing on places like Poshmark and eBay. Today we are continuing a series that we have been going through. We're continuing the BOLO Alphabet, which is just all the BOLO brands I know about, arranged in alphabetical order, and me telling you things about them and my opinions on picking them up, resale value, etc. I just want to reassure you guys that I've made the list. I've written the scripts. That was a lot of work. I'm not going to abandon this series. Even if only like 6 or 7 of you watch this, the people who have been watching this have been being like, this is very helpful. Please keep going. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to keep going because, yeah, even if it's not the most popular series, it's really useful for me to film and consolidate this information for myself as a reseller. It's useful for Ethan as he edits to learn these things. And if it's useful for at least a few of you, then I'm going to keep doing it. And I've already done most of the work, so we're going to keep going. And hopefully we'll be done releasing this by the beginning of 2023, but you never know. It might take longer, and that's life. Apparently things come up, annoyingly. But anyway, let's get into the next BOLO brand. Okay, the next brand is APC, created by Jean Tuiteau in 1987. It is a French clothing brand. It first gained renown for its classic jeans and raw denim, but the brand now offers a complete collection of men's, women's clothing, shoes, and accessories. They have their recent collections organized by color on their website, which is a new one on me, but kind of looks cool. They do lots of very solid colors, minimalist designs, a timeless basic wardrobe look. Most pieces range from $150 to $350 with a few outliers. Like they have a pair of plain white socks for $45 if you're in the market. They do have vintage pieces, but I'm seeing no evidence of those performing especially well on the resale market. The resale is slightly lower than I thought it was in my mind before really digging into this brand. I'm seeing a ton of pieces sell for between $30 and $60, even pretty nice pieces. Their bags seem to sell for the highest, most often being the comps that can reach over $100 resale. So just be careful paying up for this brand, but know that when you find it, you're looking at a designer brand, and attempt not to confuse it with any of the other many 3-letter A acronym brands that we've gone over. Next is Apperly. I actually only found out about Apperly because I found a pair of their shoes on sale at a consignment store and bought them to resell. They're a French luxury shoe brand by Alessandra Lanvin, and yes, she is related to that Lanvin, but through marriage to his grandson, I believe. But still, helps to know people. Most of the results when I look them up, though, are secondhand places to get these shoes, like the Real, Vestiaire, List, Poshmark, etc., which isn't a great sign for a brand if you can't find many retail on them. But where I can find retail, they sell between $500 and $900, and the resale given those is a bit underwhelming. Comps are very inconsistent. I see $125 and I see $9, both for used. So hopefully that last one was a random fluke. It looks like most go between $35 and $65. So don't go paying up too much for this brand and wish me luck selling my pair. To be fair, they were only $10 or maybe even less. But let's just keep an eye on this brand and see which direction it heads in, and I'll keep you guys updated whatever those shoes sell for, if and when they ever do sell. Next is APL. It stands for Athletic Propulsion Labs, and they make running shoes and sneakers. Each design on their site has a men's and a woman's and a kid's version of the design name. The adult shoes are going for over $300, a few over $400, and the kids' shoes, as well as their slide-on sandals, are retailing around $150. The brand was started by a set of twins in 2009 who played a lot of sports. And they have very sport-specific shoes, like for things like vertical jumping, running, training, etc. Comps are very strong, heavily depending on condition though, which totally makes sense to me. The only thing that I still buy retail instead of resale is, well, underwear, duh, and running shoes, because that's actually like a health and a joint thing, not a style thing. So I get it. But even then, I'll buy like newer tags on Poshmark. This is not important. So I get why condition would be a thing, especially if you're going to wear them for a sport. You need them to be in good condition. Yes, so comps can go as low as $20 to $40 for very used pairs. And usually for pristine pairs, they're more like $60 to $150, depending on the style and whatnot. I kind of would skip their sandals. Those comps are all of the lowest ones, but not their kids' shoes. Those do good. And their backpacks as well don't do very well. Next is A Piece Apart. This is a women's clothing brand. Two American friends founded the brand in 2008. The idea behind the brand was pieces that you could pack to travel with out of a single bag. So the website talks a lot about sustainability and supporting women, versatility in pieces, etc. Retail prices $200 to $400, which makes the resale all the more impressive. You should be able to easily pull over $40 for any piece from this brand, and certain dresses or jumpsuits can even resell for over $100, lots in the 75 range. Huge retention of value for this brand. People seem to like it, and I would pick this up anywhere as long as they were charging me under $20 for it. Unless it's a really boring piece or flawed, but that is always the case for all these brands. Next is A Paris. This is a French brand launched in 2016, so pretty recent. They began as a faux fur focused brand, but then they've expanded into all sorts of clothes and accessories now. But they are known best still for all things fuzzy and thick, Sherpa. They namely have cloud jackets, faux shearling and faux fur, which look like this. They do also make some other jackets like vegan leather, trench coats, and puffer jackets. Almost all of their comps are jackets and slippers with some gloves, some scarves, and a few and far between other clothing items like pants or sweaters. But the highest comps for sure are the jackets. Comps for the jackets reliably average around $75 for used ones, ranging from $50 to $150. Newer tags, obviously more, as always, and the highest comp for a used cloud jacket is $280. I would be careful not to pay up past $20 to $30 for these unless it's new with tags in excellent condition, but it could pay off. It's just a tad bit risky. Next is April Meets October. I only learned about this brand for the same reason as Aprilai. I found it at a consignment store. It was on sale for $20, and after checking comps, I picked that up real quick. So I listed it around $130, and I accepted an offer for $90. You think you showed them that comp? So it is an LA-based brand. I had to creep its entire Instagram to figure this out. But they began as a kids clothing brand, and then they made a mom line, and then they completely changed their name of their brand and their website to what they are today, and that was around 2019. And so now they make a lot of dresses, most valuable, but also shirts and pants. It's a lot of oversized pieces. They call it flexible fashion that can stay with you no matter like what fluctuations happens with your weight, which is cool. Their dresses retail between $175 and $300, and pants and tops around $130. Resale comps with these prices in mind, stellar. Yeah, so their dresses can resell between $80 and $150, and their separates between $50 and $80. Obviously, I would pay up to $20 for a dress, and actually likely I'd pay up to $30 in Canadian dollars. The weaker dollars. Apolli. Wow, okay, this is just one of those fashion world things that makes no sense to my brain, but you know what does make sense to my brain? Profit. And so we are going to go over this brand. They make reusable shopping bags. Yes, like the ones you can buy at Value Village or the grocery store for $2 when you realize you went a little too hard sourcing and you need to get some of the stuff home. But their bags retail for $70 to $120, to be slightly fair to them. The more expensive ones you do get to customize with your own text. The lower priced ones say things like Cat Mom or Save Water, Drink Wine, or I don't know, y'all. It makes no sense to me what we like and what we don't like. I hate these bags. Ethan, please show some bags now. They have a collab with Claire V, who we will talk about and see, but it makes a lot of purses. So Apolli bags can resell for between $25 and $50, depending a lot on what the bag says, I think. Someone resold one for $80, and I'm picturing this being like less than 1 pound at the bins, and it just broke my brain. But Is it more or less stupid than a $1,500 purse shaped like a can of 7-Up? No, objectively no. So no one can account for taste. And opinions are just stupid little things that we all carry around, and they're not very valuable. Anyway, next is a Puntov. This is an Italian brand, apparently started in 1996, but there aren't super many listings for it. Maybe its North American reach is a bit more recent. There's just not a lot for it. Anyway, they make women's clothing and they use all natural fibers, lots of linen, cotton, gauze, wool, etc. Their retail price is between $300 and $400 range. And I only say because, once again, what are these comps? Someone resold a pair of their cotton pants for 228 USD. In fact, all of the comps for pants by this brand are over $100 resale, which just blows my dang mind. And then other pieces from them are in the $40 and $90 range too. Just ridiculous value retention. So get these if you see them, I guess. But yeah, they're not very common. I am not centered. Does it matter? Do we care if I'm centered? I have to go the reverse way that I think. Okay. I'll keep drifting. Anyway, Aquitalia. Aquitalia are Italian crafted shoes. The brand began in 1994, and though they do also carry clothing, they're heavily, heavily known for their shoes. So we'll talk about their shoes mainly, which retail starting around $300, and for some sandals and heels and things, and up to $900 for like tall boots and stuff. The resale is a large range, like 30 to 150, with some outliers. I don't personally think you should have to go under $50 for most good condition Aquitalia shoes. We had an older style pair of pumps and those sold for $50 and they were really boring in my opinion. So that is the lowest I would have sold these for personally. And their tall boots sell for the most as expected. And then anything with specific weather or waterproofing, more substantial the shoe, the more it's going to retail and this resell for. Next is Aquazzara. Aquazzara is another Italian shoe brand. It is a Florence-based luxury footwear brand founded in 2011 by a Colombian designer, Edgardo Osorio. Hopefully I didn't screw that up. I mix this up all the time with Aquitalia, but don't, because the shoes have very different price points. Aquazzara is at least double of Aquitalia in both retail and resale. Their shoes retail between $700 and go up to around $1,500. Resale, they can bring in $100 to $500 for a good condition pair. Yes, used. And of course, there are lower comps, but I'm choosing to ignore those. I see one here for $25. And honestly, those had better be fake, severely damaged, or if not, then I bet a reseller bought them off of you to flip. Because I would, if I could count my own visual authentication skills, which I can't. Next is Aran Crafts. There's an iconic Irish knitwear label that was founded on the Aran Islands in Ireland back in 1892. So, tons of vintage available. They've been carried at many other retailers over the history of the brand, but that's where they started. Their sweaters currently retail from their own website for around $150. And then they make all sorts of knitwear like scarves, blankets, etc. The resale value is pretty darn varied. Sometimes vintage goes higher, sometimes men's or women's or certain styles will go for more. Merino wool, of course, as usual, will sell higher than regular wool. And cable knits or fisherman sweaters, those types of knit styles sell a bit higher as well. But they should easily grab you around $30 and up to maybe $80 resale, which is great because if your thrift doesn't know about it, which even ours doesn't, which is impressive, they'll charge you like $6 or whatever their minimum price is for a sweater. Their zipper jackets have the highest comps of the brand between like $70 and $120. But I'd pick this up under most circumstances. Next is Arch with an E on the end. This is a French shoe brand. It began in 1968, and it's a family-run business, now being run by a third-generation brother and sister of the family, in case you're curious. They also make bags. Their style, they say, is highly original, which I can't help but agree with. They're so funky. The retail is between $300 and $1,000 for both their men's and women's shoes if you buy them directly from their website. but it seems like most retailers carry them for more in the $200 to $500 range. They say almost all of their pairs are made in-house in France, which is cool. And the comps for these shoes have a gigantic range, as per usual, the highest being $300, and in the range, most of them sit in the range of $40 to $80. I would say the weirder the style, the better the comps. Their bags don't do quite as well so far. Maybe their more modern releases would, but I don't have comps for those. Most sell between $40 and $50, though I do see a dust bag of this brand sold for $10. So that is a really great sign. I wouldn't pay up for these, but if they were under $12 or so, I'd definitely try them out to flip and see how quickly they go and go from there. Arc'teryx! 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 Which is apparently pronounced Arc'teryx, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to pronounce it Ibiza, you know? Anyway, this is Ethan's personal favorite brand, although he never owned any before we were reselling, which is totally fair. What a pricey brand. It is an outdoor adventure technical gear brand. Think like Patagonia, but honestly even a bit more outdoors focused than Patagonia. Also, they're Canadian, in fact, specifically from the Coast Mountains in British Columbia, which is where I'm from. So they test all their equipment and clothes out there in the vast, like, harsh wilderness of those mountains. Their retail is super varied, but totally by sensible reasons. Like their baseball cap is $40, around the lowest. And then the highest right now is an insulated jacket made for extreme conditions at $1,000. And then they have everywhere in between. But right now they have a collab in their women's line with Jill Sander, and it's a Gore-Tex one-piece jumpsuit, and it's $3,000. So that is also a thing. Anyway, the resale really depends on what you find. A tank top, not much over $30. A technical jacket, up to $700. I would say their most valuable items by far are their jackets, and then their ski pants and bib pants, then their boots and shoes and backpacks, and then below all that is their non-technical gear, which will definitely get you under $100, if not under $50, but it's still worth picking up depending on what you're being charged. But if you find a jacket and it looks like it's for harsh weather, you pick that up and you buy it and you make a giant profit, and I'm really proud of you. And can I have it? Next is RUMI. That's the name of the brand. It's an LA-based brand made by Rumi Neely. They said they make every piece handmade right in LA. They launched in 2014, and they make a lot of what I would call skimpy clothes. There's lots of low backs, tiny crop tops, lots of skin, which, by the way, I'm trying to say this in the least judgy way I can, because I am all for more skin. More skin, the better. But there's just no good word for revealing in the English language that doesn't have any negative connotation, which is dumb and frustrates me. But I just wanted to describe the brand. Anyway, their tag is often cut off of the back of the neck because it's like a thin, almost like Lulu's rip tag. So you can check for the brand name on the fabric tag in the like bottom corner, which, by the way, I always recommend doing. I never ever skip looking at a carrot tag when the collar tag is missing. I have found some amazingly underpriced stuff that way, most notably a Roberto Cavalli $3,000 dress that they charged me $10 for, so there's another tip that no one asked for. Okay, retail for these pieces seem to fall between $150 and $500, dresses being at the higher end and going downwards sensibly. Comps are pretty strong as of this filming. Single pieces can do $50 to $100 resale, and the dresses average resale between $100 and $250. So I'd pick these up anywhere that wasn't charging me more than, say, $20 or maybe even up to like $40 for a dress. Next brand is Area. Area is a high-end fashion line, and I know for a fact that I can't pronounce the designers' names, so let's just say that they're from London and Poland, and they met while they worked at the Calvin Klein collection together, the like runway one. And the other one worked at Chloe, so they named Area after an iconic 1980s nightclub in Manhattan, which I thought was really cool, enough to mention it anyway. But they are known for including a lot of crystals in their pieces, and their pieces retail between $500 to $2,000. A few pieces even higher. They make basically everything that you might want some crystals included on, so tops, skirts, pants, dresses, but also headbands and jewelry pieces and some shoes even. Comps are pretty solid, though I want you to watch out specifically for this tag because there are other brands named area which have zero consequence to us as resellers. So just make sure it'll probably have crystals on it, so that's another dead giveaway, but there's no backwards R and there's no second word like area stars. None of those are this brand. When we scroll comps, there's a lot of non-area comps cluttering them, but I feel pretty dang confident claiming that you should not have to dip below $100 for an authentic area piece. Nuh-uh. Comps for those pieces range between $100 to $300, a few as high as $600. I saw the highest being $900, so I would pick this up anywhere for maybe even up to like $50, depending on how substantial it was and depending on me being sure it was this brand. Next is Aria Latner. This is a sustainable fashion, jewelry, and wellness brand based out of Austin, Texas. It's made by self-described entrepreneur, yogi, and artist. It's really mostly jewelry, which isn't something I wanted to include in this BOLO list. Too many. But their one very popular clothing piece is a huge bolo. And this is all you need to know about this brand. And it's their jumpsuit. And it looks like this. And here's the tag. And you should just bolo this jumpsuit. It retails for 273 Canadian dollars. So like maybe 220 US. And the comps are between $75 and $125 pretty consistently. So I don't really need you to bolo this whole brand. The average jewelry piece will sell like average jewelry. Just, I need you to know about this jumpsuit because if you find it, you should pick it up to flip because it'll flip real good. Ariat. This is a cowboy boot brand. Again, cowboy boots in general sell fairly well. Ariat keeps in line with that trend. So it was made in 1993. Hey, so was I. Okay, relevant. It's a US-based company. The brand is named after Secretariat, who is apparently considered the best racehorse of all time. So, sure. They're known best for their cowboy boots, which retail between $200 to $400. But they also make riding boots, work boots, loafers, even running shoes. And they make clothes too, but unless it's got like a horse riding blazer jacket or something, they're calling them show coats, or like a heavy duty puffer jacket or workwear. You can basically ignore their clothing for resale purposes. But they usually have style codes written on the newer boots, and the comps range from, I would say, a minimum of $40 to a maximum of around $100. The higher comps are for things like steel-toed cowboy boots or heritage styles, which is what they're calling styles that have a lot more like embroidery and design to them, not just plain brown or something. I'd probably pay up to $20 for a pair, being picky about condition and style. But you can always just specifically search for the comps of that exact style code that you find. So that is always a win. Thank you, Ariat, for including those codes. Okay, Aritzia. This is going to be a long one. Aritzia, like Anthropologie, has brands that are Aritzia, exclusively carried there and made by them. And then they also carry some other brands, trendy brands, like they'll carry Rag & Bone jeans, Levi's. Honestly, it's mostly jeans. But the brands that are always Aritzia are Wilfred, Babaton, TNA, Wilfred Free, Sunday Best, LeFou, Denim Forum, Little Moon, Community, and the Group by Babaton. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but those for certain are Aritzia. And hey, they were made in Vancouver, BC. Represent! Woo! And that does make a ton of sense to me because it seems to me that every third or fourth piece in my thrift stores are from Aritzia, I swear. So let's talk about resale because, it is all over the place. We're actually going to go into most of these sub-brands on their own. So right now I just want to say, please don't pick up something just because you know it to be Aritzia. You are looking for popular, substantial, otherwise special pieces, not just like a plain black TNA bodysuit that will max out around $30 if you're lucky. You also want to look for more recent styles and check specific comps for what you found. Maybe check the fabric composition and decide based on all those multiple factors because Aritzia itself is not an automatic bolo. Comps range from like $6 for a beanie to something like $500 for a shearling leather jacket. So it's a whole thing, but Most pieces will have a style code on them, and I'd say about 40% of the time that leads me to the exact piece online. I don't know why it doesn't always work, but it doesn't. It's one of those brands you can't just pick it up, like it's like Lululemon, right? You can't just pick up all Lululemon. You can't just pick up all Anthropologie, and you can't just pick up all Aritzia. You have to know, like, okay, this is a piece that people are buying really quickly, and then, okay, no, this is just going to sit forever and no one's going to buy it. So use your discretion. But of course, it's a BOLO. Okay, the next brand is Arizona Love. In 2018, Leslie Kuhana launched Arizona Love with one thing in mind: to create the perfect sandals, offering comfort and high fashion. So obviously they make sandals. That is their main thing. And to me, they kind of look like Chaco's sandals if Chaco's straps were made from colorful bandanas. They do also make clothing and hats and a few other things, but by a ridiculous margin, most of the comps on resale platforms are the sandals. So that's the chief bolo here. It is a French brand. Their original prices are in euros on their website, but they seem to range mainly between 120 and 180 euros, which is apparently similar to dollars these days, though when they're carried at retailers like Revolve, Nordstrom, they seem to mark them up to $200 to $300 or even $400 in Canadian. So the comps' original prices have quite the range. And speaking of comps, scrolling comps is nearly impossible to filter out things that are not this brand. You just get a bunch of Arizona stuff coming up. But you can get an idea looking at the sandal comps. And I would say most will get you between $40 to $80 for a used pair of their sandals. Some styles can go for a bit more than that, but I would say that's like you can count on between that range for most of their sandals. Next is Arc Swimwear. This is an Australian swimwear brand launched in 2016. Its whole thing is well-made, classic, and timeless staple bikini pieces and sets. So they've been worn by a lot of celebrities like Kim Kardashian, Emily Ratajkowski, other people known for wearing bikinis and models. Their tops and bottoms are sold as separates for $60 to $65 each, and their one pieces are priced at around $100 resale. Resale ranges between $25 to $40 for single pieces, and sets of bikini pieces can sell for $35 to $75, which is pretty darn good. And I'll bet your thrift stores currently have zero clue that this brand even has any resale value, because it just looks like a solid colored basic super basic string bikini. So check it out, resell it for money, and win at life. That's all I want for you. Arata Silent Journey. Okay, I just spent way too long looking this up as deeply as I can, and I'm about ready to move on. So this is what I know about this brand to the best of my ability. People tag anything by Arata Silent Journey, also just known as Arata now, as Anthropologie. I cannot find confirmation that Anthro has ever carried this brand with like definitive evidence, and it is definitely not exclusive to Anthro. It has its own website and it is sold elsewhere. I believe what happened here is that Arata had a collab with BHLDN, which is carried at Anthro. So those pieces were carried at Anthropologie for sure, and then people seem to assume that this was an Anthro associated brand when most of the time it isn't. I'm not 100% certain of this because it's hard to confirm a negative, like something wasn't sold at Aritzia. It's much easier to confirm a positive, like it is sold at Aritzia. Honestly, either way, I would just tag it as its own brand name and not with Anthro, unless it's one of the BHLDN collab kimono pieces. This is another warning, and we aren't even out of the A's yet, but don't just tag things as Anthro unless you have direct evidence that it has been carried there. And other people tagging it as Anthro is not evidence that it was actually carried there. It's just word of mouth getting in a hand. But I digress. This brand resells between $100 and $300 usually. It has a lot of lightweight, flowy, bohemian vibe, women's clothing. Resale ranges usually at least $30 to $35 and up to a maximum of $140 for like rare, new tag, substantial pieces. I think you can estimate around $40 for most pieces. The items that sell for the higher amounts in this brand are their kimonos, dusters, long length jackets, which I would expect to get at least 50 to 64 on the secondhand market. Next is AS98. This is an Italian shoe and bag, or like leather goods collectively, focused brand. It is actually a sub-brand of the Italian company Olip SPA, which also makes MJUS shoes, although to be honest, those aren't as good of a bolo. So let's focus on AS98. They're very specific about where their leather is made. It says on their website only specific tanneries in Italy are allowed to make their leathers, and their shoes retail between 200 to 500. Yes, and their bags retail around 500 to 750. Most shoes should be able to get you between 75 and 200 resale, with sandals and wedges at the lower end and their boots at the higher end. The bags resell between $100 to $250 mostly. They are much less common though than the shoes. They also have a shoe line collab with Free People, and those seem to sell just about as well as their regular shoes and boots, some even a bit higher. So giant bolo, I wouldn't recommend skipping it ever. And if they're in good condition and you are paying under $40, I'd be picking them up. Next is Asino Swimwear. This was founded in 2014 and is known for swimsuits and other women's clothing. I think it's known as resort wear, though I'm not really sure if the pajamas that they sell count as resort wear or not. Either way, it's a lot of slip dresses, linen maxi dresses, shorts, jumpsuits, and as pajama sets, and also blazers and suits for some reason. So anyway, all women's clothing. Very oversized, comfortable, lightweight, lots of solid colors, and their pieces retail between $150 and $550. A single swim bottom on their website is $125. Still pricey. The resale comps are pretty good, although I notice a lot of people listing the brand Ascend as Asino, like they'll make a typo. So as we're scrolling through comps, anything that has that like ridiculously low comp, there's a good chance that it's actually an Ascend piece, which is like some very low end activewear line. That's not this. This is Asino with an O. But yeah, Ascend with a D, distinctively not a bolo. So watch out for those, but otherwise, an Asino piece should resell between $45 and $175. Highest comps from their linen maxi dresses or silk pajama sets. I'd pick this up under most circumstances. Just make sure you're checking recent sold comps. Next is Ash. Ash was founded in 2000, and it's the brainchild of French shoe designer Patrick Essier, an Italian entrepreneur Leonello Calavani. I'm Italian. Leonello Calavani. Two prominent figures in the footwear fashion industry. They're mainly known for their footwear, this brand is, though they do also now make bags, men's clothing, and accessories. Their shoes retail between $200 and $350 US, and the resale is pretty scattered. I'd say they average around $50 resale, ranging from $30 to $100. So my advice would be to only get these if they're under maybe $5 or if they're in really, really great condition. Ashish is the brand of London-based Indian designer Ashish Gupta. It has been around since 2001, 2002-ish. The brand is known for bright, fun, printed women's wear pieces, often with sequins or other embroidery. The retail for Ashish pieces is luxury level, mostly between $1,000 and $3,000 for original retail prices. They sell all sorts of women's clothes, dresses, bags, jeans, all of which I would consider to be very maximalist in style. And the resale is, inconsistent, but I would pick up any piece that seemed especially fun, especially with sequins, and I'd probably pay up to $50 for it. And I'd never dip below $100 in reselling it because there are plenty of high enough comps for this brand, certainly enough intrinsic value there in the retail value to justify pricing your stuff that high. And we're just going to ignore the lower comps because I don't like them. Next is Acilio. This is an Australian brand that makes women's clothing, dresses, skirts, separates, blazers, etc. They make like event wear, nothing you'd ever just wear around the house, a line full of like non-basic pieces, essentially. They use a lot of white and black though. Their pieces retail between $150 to $350 mostly. Lots of poshers tag their items with Revolve, although it doesn't look like they're carrying any of their pieces as of like this recording on Revolve's website. It's definitely a mid or lower tier bolo brand. Lots of comps below $30, sadly. but I would say the average resale value of their pieces are $35 to $40 with some outliers in either direction. My advice is to pick this brand up whenever the piece demands it. Does that make sense? Like there are pieces that are so unique and special that I can't leave them behind. And those are the pieces I'm looking for with this brand name and nothing else. And of course, like if it was under $5, I'd probably pick it up either way. Ask it. Oh my God, the first thing on their website reads, since 2015, we have been perfecting a single permanent collection. We can't live without clothing, but we can live with a lot less of it and a lot better. Oh, I love that sentiment. I love that. Why is this the first brand I'm hearing about to do this? I suppose because of capitalism. Anyway, everything on their whole website is about ending fast fashion consumption and extending the life cycle of their garments, your garments, clothing. And for some reason, I'm really buying into this concept when they sell it, when I often don't from other brands who sell it, but I don't know, I just believe them. They are known mostly for men's clothes, but they do have a women's line as well, and their style is super minimalist, basic pieces. Essentially, you could buy an entire capsule wardrobe from them, and you never need any other clothes really, unless you're going to like a ball, until those pieces died, which would take long, they say. Their pieces retail between $45 and $190, the $45 being for like basic white t-shirt. Comps are, first of all, entirely the men's stuff. Like I don't see any women on both eBay and Poshmark. Second, they seem to sell best as sets. So if you find like multiple of these shirts and you put them together and you say I'm selling 3 of these shirts, people like to seem to buy them in bundles. But a single t-shirt should get you $15 minimum, and more substantial pieces have comps between $30 and $60. I'd pick this up anytime as long as it was under $5. All right, ASRV. This is a mainly men's technical sportswear brand that has been around since 2013. Its initials stand for Aesthetic Revolution. Their pieces retails for like $68 for a plain t-shirt and just over $100 for their shorts, $150 for their joggers, and some puffer jackets and things at the highest, $350 or so. Comps are solid, mid-tier definitely, but they do seem to have a great sell-through rate. Looking at how long these ones were posted before they sold, it should get you at least $20 for plain things, and then somewhere between $40 and $80 resale for their layered shorts, their joggers, and of course more for new tags. I'd pick this up pretty much every time for under $5, and I'd probably pay $10 to $12 for a pair of those double layer shorts, and definitely for a pair of their joggers, as those are the highest sellers. And a puffer jacket, but I don't see a lot of those comps. ASTR, this is a women's clothing line launched in 2012. It's known for being sold at Revolve, although it's carried at a lot of other places too, like Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue, The Bay, Hey Canada, and probably tons and tons of other ones as well. Nordstrom Rack as well. So I want to say this isn't a particularly hard to find brand, and the retail is between maybe like $60 and $260. Definitely a mid to lower tier BOLO brand, but their pieces are still definitely selling. My advice for this brand is to be really picky about the pieces that you do pick up. The floral print maxi dress, yeah, pick that up. Plain off-white t-shirt, no, yeah, maybe leave that behind. Comps range a lot for as low as like $10 for some basic pieces and as high as $180 for this one dress. You think, can you pull up this one dress? It's called the Blythe dress and it has good comps. I'd feel comfortable paying up for this one dress. Otherwise, use your reseller common sense picking this brand up. Is it substantial? Is it unique? Are there tags? Good fabric? Can you picture someone who would be excited to own it? Those are the rules. But only pick up those pieces, in my opinion. Oh, we're done. Oh my God. Now what?
Hello, YouTube. Editor Ethan here. Stephanie totally left me hanging without an outro, so I'm just doing whatever this is. Thanks so much for watching, and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and we will see you very soon for some non-BOLO Alphabet content and maybe another BOLO Alphabet video this week. Who knows? We'll see how fast I can edit, I guess. Bye!